Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, I'd like to invite the speaker, Dr. V.K. J. Raghavendra Rao, who will talk about Kheti Bachao Andolan, protecting our farms, regenerative agriculture. I now request the speaker to begin. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon. A very important topic, Khet Bachao Andolan. Okay, recently on June 1st, the Government of India, Ministry of Agriculture has launched this. The basic idea is last year in the same 2025, we had this VKSA, Vikasit Krishi Abhiyan. So that means Sankalp Abhiyan. So they in the last year, what the ministry said is, whenever there is a Kharif, Rabi or summer, before the sowing season, we'll have to bring awareness with the farmers. And in order to bring awareness, and this year is called as an El Nino year. That means the droughts are expected, okay, incessant rains, and then maybe the rains are going to be delayed, it can be advanced. So you will have to have a contingency plan for this sort of agriculture, and therefore the Abhiyan Khet Bachao Andolan. Okay, I'll just quickly go through it, and I just logged in. Okay, and this is all about myself. And see, now the basic objective of Khet Bachao Andolan is, see, we are all growing crops, but we are not very much worried about our farms or the organic content. I am not even just going to tell today that we have to do regenerative agriculture or you have to go to organic farming. See, now we have to combine many of these things into one particular abhiyan, which is called the Khet Bachao Abhiyan. See, now suppose you are a patient. See, simply allopathy may not work, Ayurveda may not work, Unani medicine may not work. Okay, a strict diet may work. Okay, medicines may work. Okay, and all the things have to be, put into one place. Similarly, in a Khet Bachao Abhiyan, okay, now we talk about balanced nutrition, balanced use of fertilizers, nano, many issues are going to come. We'll quickly go why this particular Abhiyan was started. Okay, the main objective is to have this campaign protecting your soil health, reduce excessive chemical fertilizer and pesticide use, promote sustainable and scientific farming practices. So, the farmers, I don't say they are greedy, they are very much receptive to what you are going to tell. So, nevertheless, in order to do this, we have to have this Khet Bachao Abhiyan. Recently, I went into some places. The first issue is the soil health and nutrient management. We want to promote the use of soil health cards. Already it is there. Okay, in agriculture, you have the soil health card. Okay, and then in horticulture, you have what is called as the leaf analysis card. Okay, so then natural and organic farming, okay, eco-friendly practices, green manuring nobody is doing, vermicomposting, use of biofertilizers to restore soil fertility. So crop diversification, see, I told you it's simply not a rice after rice or a ragi after ragi. Okay, you will have to have a pulse mission, you will have to have an alternate crop. I told you, especially this El Nino year, what will you do if the rains don't come? So then, I was recently in Angrao in Andhra Pradesh. Okay, I was in Guntur. So where, they have developed a contingency plan for every district, every taluk. In case the rain fails, okay, you go for green gram. Somebody is going to go for horse gram. Go for a short duration variety. All these are going to be the directions in Khet Bachao Andolan. And now there are so many schemes also are there. Okay, we have to help the farmers access this particular schemes. Okay, just a minute. I'm just yeah. Okay, fine. Then we have already started this village outreach program. The agriculture scientists, Krishi Vigyan Kendras. Just a minute. 1 minute. No, it is yes, okay. No, no, no. So in the village outreach program also, the scientists go in groups with along the Krishi Vigyan Kendras. Earlier we had this Mera Gav Mera Gaurav program. We are doing a lot of field demonstrations, especially in the sowing season. What are the laser levelers, water efficient farming methods? So, I had written a small poem. How do I remove this particular thing? 1 minute. Okay. Okay, yeah. See, now I had written a small poem about this Khet Bachao Andolan, and even during the MGMG program called as Mera Gaon Mera Gaurav. मेरा गांव मेरा गौरव, तेरा काम मिलेगी दाम, करेंगे मेहनत दिखाएंगे जन्नत, ज्ञान विज्ञान और अभियान से दूर होंगे तेरा मुश्किल, बनेंगे तुझे काबिल, चैन की नींद न सोएंगे हम जब तक रहेगी कम, उम्मीदों की सूरत निकले है चारों ओर, विज्ञान दिखाएगा नया दौर, ले लो सुझाव हमारी और बदलेगी दुनिया सारी, तू हमारा अन्नदाता और इस देश का विधाता, गौरव है मेरे गांव पर जो बनी है मजबूत आधार हम पर. So I had written this poem even about 10 years back, and now it is so relevant that you have science, you have technology, but if you don't have awareness in a required time, okay, if you don't have the advisory, see, now the Bharat Vistar has come. That means, well, okay, we are going to integrate artificial intelligence into agriculture using AI and giving them the advisory services. Okay, not a very generalized advisory service, not the one which you would take in a package of practices or Vyavasaya Panchangam sort of thing. Every district, every taluk, in fact, 3,48,000 villages in this country. Every village can have a different recommendation. And you cannot have so many extension workers. You cannot have 3,48,000 extension workers, one for each village. So therefore, we have to customize this information and bring awareness among the people. And that is one which is going to be, okay, culminated and integrated into this Khet Bachao Abhiyan. Now, see, recently, you are seeing me on the visual. We went to Khet Bachao Andolan. This was in Sheeta Kempanhalli. It is a pomegranate farmer. Okay, and then, I went to this Dottaballavangla village. Okay, you can see me here. Okay, and a group of women also who are doing composting. Okay, and I have also told that in Khet Bachao Andolan, even some of the natural resources also can be conserved as an entrepreneurship. I gave a lecture here too. Okay, you're seeing me there on the visual. Okay, now some of the regenerative practices which we are going to do, see, in this Khet Bachao Andolan, see, one is the micro irrigation. See, you avoid flood irrigation just because you have excess water. Today, the mantra is more crop per drop. Very important. So you have to do this. See, water may be available, but by giving more water, it is not that you are showing the richness of your water resource, but rather you are destroying the crops. Second thing is the agroforestry and horticulture, which when you integrate with trees and crops, okay, it stores more organic carbon in the soil. The root structure are all going to be very good. Then farm mechanization, precision machinery. Okay, now we say sensor-based horticulture, sensor-based agriculture. Then integrated farming system, combine livestock, fisheries, agroforestry, and allied activities. What are you going to do with all the cow dung? What are you going to do with all the fish waste? What are you going to do with all the other things? That has to be integrated in agriculture. That is going to be our compost. Maybe in one of my next lecture, I had already told waste from wealth. There is an ICR book I will be sharing with you. See how to convert all the agriculture waste into compost. Even last time when I took a lecture, the BBMP waste, which is 900 rupees per ton, which have the wet, the dry. See, now there are many entrepreneurs who have come. See, one of my cousin brother's son has come out with this, creating a very good compost from waste. So what he does is he collects all this BBMP waste, segregates it, okay, bifurcates it, and puts it into anaerobic fermentation and produces a beautiful fertilizer out of it and markets it. So that is how this integrated farming system, then nitrogenous fertilizer usage management. Don't put more of urea. See, I've already been telling this even in my earlier lectures. By putting more urea, only the foliage growth is there. Only the leaves grow very well. Your gardens look lush green. But what about the potash and the potassium? If you don't put potash, the roots are all going to be damaged. They're going to become weak. See, your head may be very strong with AI and you may be very intelligent, but what will you do if you cannot walk or sit or run? So your legs and the root system should also be very good. Similarly, if you don't apply very good potash, okay, the ionic mobilization will not take place and you will not have a very sweet or a quality fruit. So therefore, balanced use of fertilizer is absolutely important. Then coming to the natural farming, just a minute. In the natural farm, we have already told you in our earlier lectures as well, chemical-free farming. So we don't say that you can avoid all the chemicals 100%, okay, but you restore the soil and biodiversity. That means, for example, there is a vesicular arbuscular mycorrhiza, there is nitrobacter, azospirillum, okay, azotobacter. See, these are all very beneficial microorganisms to fix biological nitrogen, and also it can mobilize phosphorus. So you have to have a very good structure of the flora and fauna. See, now, why do you drink buttermilk? Why do you drink some probiotic juice or whatever it is? That is only to improve your gut microflora, and then, you have a better digestion and better absorption from your intestines. Similarly, in natural farming, we do this approach. In case of green manuring, we incorporate specific crops. The stubble burning should go. Most of the farmers, recently also I went there, they want to do stubble burning, especially in paddy. People have a belief that, if you burn the stubbles, insert here my this one, okay, the stem borer of rice is going to be burnt. The eggs are going to be killed. Cercophila incertulus, that is the name for the stem borer there. So therefore, green manuring, increasing the organic content in the soil are all very, very important. Now, I'll also be taking you to another 2-3 slides. People are applying biochar, by the pyrolytic process. Okay, you take all the organic stubbles and the waste material generated in the farm, burn them, convert them into all this black biochar, ferment it, and then apply. The organic carbon of the soil is going to improve. Then cover cropping. So don't leave any crop just, land vacant. Don't expose it to sunlight. Okay, have some cover crop. Okay, Sesbania, sun hemp. Okay, all this green moringa. Mulching is a very important thing. And nowadays, most of the farm is already covered by the plastic mulches. Otherwise, you can have the live mulches. Then climate resilient agriculture. I did talk to you about El Nino. The opposite of El Nino is La Nina. La Nina means having more rainfall, okay, and flood sort of situation. All these things are going on because of the global warming taking place and because of the greenhouse gases which destroys the ozone layer in the stratosphere. And once when the ozone layer is disturbed, okay, you have more ultraviolet radiation and the global warming takes place and more ice and other things, they are melted and you have more water. Once when you have more water in your oceans, obviously the evapotranspiration is going to be very, very high. And then once when the evapotranspiration is very high, you can check in the Google about the El Nino, okay. These are all cyclic things and they have a definite cycle. So this year is called as the El Nino year. We are expecting a drought sort of situation. So you should have a contingency plan. A contingency plan is what will you do if you don't get this, if you don't get rains? What will you do if you get more rains? So recently in Guntur also, when I was addressing the gathering, see, suppose what will you do if the rains are delayed? So people should be ready with the horse gram. Okay, green gram is also a short duration crop. It comes in about 90 days. So what are the drought tolerant crops? Horse gram is the best. Okay, even in paddy also, nowadays people don't flood paddy and no more of transplantation. Even dry seeded, directly seeded rice is also there, which consumes less water. And the Shri method of cultivation, the alternate wetting and drying of the things, it gives more yield. But only thing is the weeds are going to be very high. So therefore, climate resilient agriculture is seeing your climate, judging your climate, looking at El Nano, predicting what is it. Something like astrology. You don't take a unilateral decision. You also club astrology. You also club the forecast of rains. You also club El Nino, La Nina. And then after that, you are also going to save your agriculture. This is very, very important. These are some of the regenerative practices. See, I've already told you that, balanced fertilizer nutrition. See, every nutrient is very, very important. See, nitrogen, it contributes to leaf growth, chlorophyll development. Okay, phosphorus, I told you about the healthy root system. Sulfur, nutrient retention in the soil. If you don't apply good sulfur, especially diammonium phosphate and some sulfur, okay, you have the muriate of potash and sulfate of potash, two important sources, and some amount of sulfur also retains the nutrients because of, it forms into good molecules. Potassium is for water regulation, drought resistance. If you don't apply good amount of potassium, any amount of El Nino or a drought, you are going to lose the crop. And magnesium is nutrient and water efficiency. And as already told in my other lectures, magnesium is at the center of the chlorophyll. So you have to have magnesium. Okay, and then coming to the roots, molybdenum and cobalt, metabolism of nitrogen is going to take place because of this. So copper, iron, and zinc catalysts for enzymatic reactions, more biological nitrogen fixation, better azotobacter, azospirillum, nitrobacter, okay, especially vesicular, arbuscular mycorrhiza for phosphorus mobilization and so on. If you don't apply good amount of boron, flower and fruit development will not be there. Suppose you have a mango crop. Okay, if boron deficiency is there in a mango gardens, you will not have a good fruit. See, ultimately, all the manganese also activating enzymes and water splitting. So, therefore, when I say balanced nutrient or balanced application of fertilizer, you require everything. Just like your body requires carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Why fats? See, don't take that if you eat a lot of ghee, you will become very. See, fats are the one which is going to dissolve many of the vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K. If you don't have enough fats in the body, it cannot dissolve, it cannot digest. Whereas vitamin B are all water soluble. But some vitamins, essential vitamins are all fat soluble. So you should be very careful in using this balanced nutrition. So balanced fertilization, you have macronutrients, you have micronutrients, and you have organic inputs. So this is where the farmers are not doing here. And I'm not saying the farmers are ignorant. They are very, very, knowledgeable. But somewhere down the line, the integration of all these three are missing. For example, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. They are called the macronutrients. I told you about iron, chlorine, zinc, manganese, copper. Organic, there is no farmyard manure at all. No question of compost and vermicompost. Crop residues, I told you, and green manures are very important. They burn these stubbles. Biofertilizers, there is no application. So ultimately, what we wish to do in this Khet Bachao Andolan is bringing awareness and integrating all the practices. Okay, it can be a nutrient management from inorganic fertilizer, organic fertilizer, and a combination of all these things. So kindly don't think organic is we will be zero pesticide, zero this one. But somewhere down the line, the integration and the interaction effects which take place in both the rhizosphere, the root system, the shoot system are all very important components of balanced fertilization. So the key objectives of balanced fertilization in the Khet Bachao Andolan is maximize fertilizer efficiency simply by applying nitrogen. I told you only your leaves are going to grow. You will have a lush green thing. But you will not get yield, whether it is paddy, mango, or anything. See, ultimately, the economic part in mango is our mangoes. You have to get a very good mango. See, organically grown mangoes and mangoes grown with balanced fertilizations are more sweeter, more tastier. It fetches a very good price. Okay, enhance nutrient synergy. This is what I was telling you from the beginning. Sustain soil health. See, by simply applying inorganic fertilizer, our soil health is gone. If it is, if you simply take tablets and medicines without adequate good diet, why they give you bread, milk, and all that, so that easily digestible food, okay, your body must react. Okay, there are a lot of antigens, antibodies in the body itself. And many times, in spite of all medication, surgery and all that, the body does not respond. People don't recover, they die a premature death. So therefore, bridge the yield gaps. See, there is a lot of difference between the national average yield and the yields obtained by farmers. Then we should minimize the environmental impact in the sense that you have more green cover, better organic carbon, and these sort of things. This is the one which is going to go in Khet Bachao Andolan. And please think, just because by applying more fertilizers, a single fertilizer, uni fertilizer without balanced fertilization is not going to give you yield. Although India today boasts of 354 million metric tons in agriculture, around 350 plus million tons in horticulture, the yields are very high, but we cannot say that all yields and all our products are export quality oriented. Many of our mangoes are rejected in the international market because of the fruit fly in mango. Especially Alfonso mango, it has Docus dorsalis, that is the from fruit borer. So many times, in IHR, we used to tease our other scientists, oh, what is it? Your mango has become more proteinaceous. That means there's a lot of fruit fly. Those worms will be wriggling inside. And recently, my wife also was saying, oh, so many worms. I said, don't worry, they're all very proteinaceous diet. So, that is on the lighter side, but nobody would like to have a fruit fly, a larvae inside your mango when you eat. So, everybody wants a good thing. So, therefore, balanced fertilization is the key. Okay, now, so soil health cards have again been, government initiatives for balanced fertilization. In 2015, this was launched, and people do not know what is the status of their soil. Okay, it gives you 12 parameters: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, zinc, iron, manganese, boron, critical, especially soil pH, electrical conductivity, and organic carbon. See, suppose your soil pH is more on the alkaline side. So what will you do if it is more on the alkaline side? You have to apply sulfate of potash. You have to bring it down to acidity. Ultimately, our pH of the soil should be around 7, neutral pH. Suppose, if my soil is highly acidic like the Kerala laterite soil, I have to apply more of MOP, muriate of potash. Okay, then the electrical conductivity is the one which decides how the transport of many of these nutrients and ions are going to take place, and how is your soil. So if the EC is very, very less, that means your soil is not very healthy. So you should have a minimum electrical conductivity. Organic carbon, minimum 2%. If you don't have organic carbon, that's why we talk about biochar application and so on. So these are all some of the things in the Khet Bachao Andolan, that too with respect to balanced fertilization. Every 2 years once, the soil health card is there. Okay, then we have in horticulture, I told you the leaf analysis, the leaf health cards are also going to be shared, because in case of horticulture, the soil, because a fertilizer applied in a horticulture feed remains for about 5 to 10 years, and then once when the buildup is there only, it's going to take. Therefore, leaf analysis laboratory was first established in the Indian Institute of Horticulture Research. This was even about the 40. So when I joined as a scientist at that time, I was puzzled why they don't do soil analysis in horticulture. Why do they do only leaf analysis? Okay, it's called the leaf health card. So by analyzing your leaf, we can tell it is boron deficient, or in the next 5 years, how your productivity is going to increase or decrease and all that. So therefore, by analyzing both the soil health and the plant health cards, okay, you will really know that what sort of balanced nutrient management has to be done, which is very, very important for Khet Bachao. Without knowing, simply blindly, applying, many people, it's something like going to a place of worship, you don't know which god is the deity there, or simply, blindly doing. See, today it is not blind agriculture or blind medicine or blind horticulture. Everything is going to be in a very scientific, systematic, analytical agriculture and horticulture. So now, see, today, earlier they were simply giving the subsidies based on a fertilizer bag, and a lot of fertilizer companies were making a lot of money out of it. So today, because the nutrient-based subsidy scheme has come, simply, the fertilizer companies cannot claim that I sold so many bags of urea, give me subsidy. Now they say, what is the NPK combination? How many of this you have given? Okay, based on the nutrients you have sold through a company, okay, you can claim the subsidy. So this is a very good effort in the direction to acquire what is called as the balanced nutrient management. See, suppose if only earlier people were simply selling ureas, and the same urea is to be recycled in the factories, people will sell it back. This sort of fraud used to occur. Therefore, today we came out with this nutrient-based subsidy scheme, which is going to enhance our balance between the N, P, and K. And I'll tell you about the PM program for restoration, awareness, nourishment, and amelioration of Mother Earth. It is called the PM Pranam program. Okay, balanced nutrient application, eco-friendly art. Okay, especially I told you whether DAP, NPK, and muriate of potash and sulfate of potash. I told you muriate of potash will be added for an acidic soil. Okay, whereas sulfate of potash will be added for an alkaline soil. I've already told you this. And then, these are then nano fertilizers. See, recently what happened, our entire DAP, diammonium phosphate, is to be imported from Brazil and Chile and those sort of South American countries. So, and we have to save our subsidies. We have to save our foreign exchange. Therefore, today, nano fertilizers has come in a very big way. And especially IFCO has got the patent for both nano urea, nano DAP, nano potash. Many things are there. And then, Maha Abhiyan to promote adoption of nano diammonium phosphate for all the zones, and the encouragement to fertilizer company to expand and scale up the production of nano fertilizers. I'll tell you, see, I was in last time in that Vikasit Krishi Sankalp Abhiyan. I was in a place called Koppal. So where, my IFCO friends also had come. And, just a 250, a quarter liter of nano DAP, nano urea is enough for 1 acre. And you see the tank of this, I have also published an article in your agriinformation.com. You can see my article on use of drones. This is a 15-liter capacity drone. So 15 liters means how many will sit? 250 ml. Okay, 15 into 4. 60 bottles of this nano DAP or nano urea can be stored in this. So it is a very, very low volume, high effective concentration spray. So now if I have to get a spray for 60 acres of land, okay, that means let us say on an average each farmer is having 1 acre of land. I have to mobilize 60 farmers. That is extension. So if I have to get 60 farmers, it is going to cover 60 areas in a matter of just 1 hour. So that means 12,100 rupees is the price for this drone to operate for 1 hour. So 12,100 divided by 60 is the per acre rate. I think it is damn cheap as compared to the labor who will take more number of days, and labor creates all these other problems. So therefore, promotion of nano DAP, nano urea is also going in the line of this balanced nutrient management and Khet Bachao Andolan. Okay, we have already told. Then, we go into the another area of customized and fortified fertilizers. Suppose, let us say that my farm is deficient in zinc. Okay, your farm is deficient in boron. So now, whether you use drone or you use a sprayer, foliar application, soil application, you will have to fortify. Fortification is something like biofortification. See, suppose, you are having a lot of anemic problem. So we biofortify it with iron. See, for example, I was in one of the experiments of IFCO where, biofortified bajra. Okay, it's called BJH100, Harvest 100, a variety. Normally, iron content in bajra is about 45 micrograms. In this particular bajra, it is about 90 micrograms. See, especially pregnant women, lactating mothers, they all have this anemic deficiency where their feet get swollen. It's called the edema foot. So after identifying them, okay, because everybody cannot come to a medical shop, buy Theptin biscuits and very costly diets, which is done by the urban areas. So in order to improve this nutri-sensitive horticulture and agriculture, we have biofortified many of our varieties. And that is going in the nutrient-sensitive agriculture and horticulture. That's why we say horticulture is addressing in the nutrition sensitivity, okay, whereas agriculture is it is addressing the other issues, especially food security. So we need food security, we need nutrition security, and today we require all our farm security as well. You cannot exploit the farm and have some sort of thing. Yield alone does not matter. Okay, yield matters to some extent, but yield alone does not matter. It is the quality of yield, quality of life which is responsible. Recently somebody was saying, why do we take so many medicines? Why the medical field has done? Many feel, oh, these medicines are all very, very costly. See, it is not the quantity of life. 100 years you live as a patient without any quality. What is the use of your life? So today people, when you have more income, when you have more good nutrition, when you have so many medicines, it is to improve the quality of life. Everybody knows that, the end is going to come. But why should the end come in a very disastrous way? It should come in a qualitative way. So we develop this customized and fortified fertilizers. See, there are so many Nuvi forces there. Okay, then, it is using the cow dung and, decomposed anaerobic fermented products and then phosphorus enriched. Okay, and I was working for Amul Organics. They have got this phosphor rich. Then home and gardening vermicompost has come Fertigo. With many of the bionutrients, they have biofortified it. Bharatiya Jan Urvarak Pariyojana. That means producing organic fertilizers, and they have a Grow Plus with more phosphorus, farmer. Many such compositions are available. You can see the NPK composition 7210. I was in organic. I'm one of the consultants for this Amul organic fertilizers. We have Amul Gold, which works as soil conditioner, Amul Rich Plus, okay, more of organic carbon and humic acid, Amul Rootex with more phosphorus, and then it improves the root growth and water absorption. Okay, then we have this microbial consortia, NPK consortia, phosphorus with more phosphorus biofortification. So like this, we have many such products. Okay, we can't say that they are all just highly organic. Don't make all these claims. But in order to protect your soil, Khet Bachao Andolan, you will have to use a mixture of many of these things. So I told you about the many of these things. And we have to safeguard farmers' interests and in both Kharif and ongoing Rabi season of 25-26. Okay, the fertilizer supply and farmers' interests and all these things are going to be there. And already, if somebody plays with all the things, show cause notices have been issued or they have been licenses have been cancelled, FIRs have been done. See, because everywhere the fertilizer dealer is the fellow who tries to spread some conspicuous consumption of whatever fertilizer, whatever thing is available. You give him more money, he will spread that. That is not the approach. See, here our agriculture, our inputs and our dealers are not here to just make profits for themselves, but also preserve the soil and the ecosystem of our farms. That's why this Khet Bachao Andolan goes one step ahead of the others. Now, to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I can go on and on. Okay, balanced fertilization has become very crucial for sustaining agriculture productivity. Soil test-based recommendation, I told you about soil health card. Okay, then we have the plant health card in case of horticulture. Our aim is to restore soil health, okay, improve the microflora fauna, optimizing input use, and also long-term resilience, especially in case of El Nino, La Nina, and whatever it is, and more productivity, more crop per drop. So these are all some of our conclusions of this Khet Bachao Andolan. So now you may ask me one question, whether regenerative agriculture is different, organic farming is different, natural farming is different. All these concepts are integrated into one called as the Khet Bachao Andolan. And every time when I go to a village or a field or a farm, I tell the farmers we are now using the integrated approach. Be very, very aware, be careful with what you apply. Okay, it is not only yield, the quality of yield, and obviously marketing is there definitely on the other side of it. So in and around Bangalore, recently I visited, the BDA has taken over many of their farms and converted them to BDA sites. It gives almost 6 crore per acre. But farmers were telling, sir, what will happen to our agriculture? I said, Arey, you take 6 crores, buy some more land somewhere very far off. Why do you come in the way of urban development? So many issues are there. So let us not become very, very emotional about small issues. Ultimately, Khet Bachao Andolan is, see, with 645.6 million hectares in India, we are the only country with almost 250 plus cropping intensity. We have Kharif, we have Rabi, we have summer, we have protected cultivation, and nowhere in the entire world the cropping intensity can match India's production and productivity. And remember, gentlemen, we are one of the leading exporters of agriculture produce to the other things. Okay, whereas US stands at number one. So be very proud to be an Indian. Be very proud that, in spite of all limitations, we are the number one producers of cow dung. We are the number one exporters of milk, and also, our especially buffalo meat. Okay, we are the number one exporter. So many of the wastes also we produce, convert them into very good biofertilizers and put it into your soil in a very scientific way, and try to enrich your soil. So that's about this is about biochar. I just quickly wanted to do. Take all the agro-industrial residues, subject it to pyrolysis, put all the urban waste from BBMP, crop residues. Okay, you get a biogas, we get a bio oil, you get biochar. This is okay. In the absence of oxygen, when you heat it, okay, that is called the pyrolysis process. This biochar is a very, very good organic supplement for the soil, and it improves your organic carbon content and thereby absorption of other nutrients and so on. So this is how a biochar looks. Okay, and today there are companies which produce biochar. I was also one of the consultants of one biochar company that's somewhere in Coimbatore. Okay, then customized fertilizers, we have already told you all these things. I told you you can customize and biofortify your own things for balance application. Okay, and then you can put it for your own soil. So there are so many things I can go like this. Okay, and I'll just very quickly conclude. Okay, all these slides have been put here. Okay, yeah. So this we have already done. And Dhanlakshmi Madam, I'll stop my discussion here with only one conclusion. खेत बचाव आंदोलन इज नॉट ओनली अबाउट खेत का भी है, उत्पाद का भी है, पौधे का भी है, ओके, और बड़े बड़े पेड़ का भी है. सो यू शुड हैव मोर क्रॉप प्रोडक्ट. हर बिंदु पानी में आपको उत्पादन ज्यादा करना है और सॉइल फर्टिलिटी को भी बचाना है और सॉइल माइक्रोफ्लोरा फाना को भी बचाना है. This entire thing all put together is the Khet Bachao Andolan, especially during this Kharif season. It has just started. Till June 30th, I'll be going to so many villages. So, so never retire. Okay, it is only retirement from service. Okay, we are never tired of serving the farmers. And thanks to agriinformation.com, which gave me this very apt lecture at a very, very apt time when El Nino is also going to come. So spread this awareness, okay, among not only agri information, among all the stakeholders, so that Khet Bachao Andolan is an integrated approach to save your soil, save your microflora, microfauna, okay, put appropriate crops, okay, mitigate drought, and have a very good contingency planning. That means NICRA means National Initiative for Climate Resilient Agriculture. See, just like how human beings should manage. If it is more hot, you switch on the AC. If it is very cold, open your sweater. So many such things are there. So I stop sharing and open it for discussion. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for a very detailed presentation and very interesting and informative presentation. So I'll take up now some questions. What are the core principles of regenerative agriculture and how do they differ from conventional farming?
See, now a farmer has to produce compost. A farmer has to have a green cover, okay, sun hemp, daincha, many of these things. So and today, with all the labor problem and all that, what the farmer feels is, who will do all these things? Who will prepare compost? Okay, who will take all BBMP waste and convert it? So now we have entrepreneurs also there. So conventional farming is only a subsistence farming. See, there are three types of agriculture. We have discussed even in our earlier sessions also. Subsistence agriculture is only hand to mouth. Grow some ragi, eat some ragi ball and end it. Second one is a sustainable agriculture where you produce your own agri input for your own agri farm. The third is a commercial agriculture which is grown in high-tech greenhouses, glass houses, protected agriculture. It is highly for commercial farming like cardamom, and then we have this vanilla cultivation coming up, high value crops. So everywhere the money is involved, and today a farmer asks a very good question. I too don't have answer for it. Sir, why should I struggle so much when I don't get anything? In Telugu there is a sameta, there's a saying, kshanam tirika ledu dammudi adayam ledu. That means you are very busy but you don't make a single rupee out of it. You take the other sectors, okay, you take artificial intelligence, okay, and today even among software, gone are those days of Java, Bava, Cobra, Python. See, today everybody talks about AI. An IIT graduate is hired at a very, very high premium. He gets something like $140,000 in US if you are an AI engineer. So therefore, what farmers ask is, who will do all this hard work to protect our soil? Who will prepare the compost? Who will collect cow dung? Okay, why should I grow one more crop? It adds to my labor, it adds to my effort. See, well, if you don't put effort, and if you are dependent only, now many people, they have apathy towards taking medicine. They don't want to get themselves treated. One thing is because medical bills are very costly. Second thing is you cannot do the strict diet what doctors are going to tell. So farmers are also telling conventional farming, use something, throw something. If the remunerative prices are linked with these sort of Khet Bachao Andolan, which is also the promulgation and the abhiyan of the government of India and the Ministry of Agriculture, people will definitely take. And today when I go to many of the farms, they are not just ordinary farms. They are almost outbeat our ICR institutes. So a farmer has got everything in the things. Sir, I'm in a class. I'll call you later. I'm in a class. Yes, madam, we continue.
Okay.
Yes, madam ji.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing.
Hello?
Suddenly
Okay.
Suddenly some call came. I cut it. Okay, ma'am. Please continue.
Okay. Second question is, how can regenerative agriculture help in restoring soil health and increasing farm productivity?
See, suppose, I am a traditional ragi grower. Okay, now, if I have more organic carbon, if I have got more microflora, compost and everything, so my soil is like a bank, it is just like a bank. You have got more cash deposits, you have got more FDs. So all nutrient rich. Even if you grow any crop, it will respond nicely. See, suppose, in a case of a patient, simply taking injection or tablet will not work. Adequate diet, you should have fiber, okay, your bowel movement should be good, okay, your blood sugar should be under control. Similarly, regenerative agriculture, if I have more organic carbon, if my microflora, especially vesicular, arbuscular mycorrhiza, azotobacter, okay, azospirillum, nitrobacter, rhizobium, all these things are going to enhance the nitrogen fixation, they are going to enhance the phosphorus uptake, they are going to enhance the potassium mobilization, especially, okay, manganese. Manganese is the center of the chlorophyll. So all the balanced nutrition put together is going to contribute to your effective yield and a quality yield, not just quantity. See, farmers are under the wrong impression just because the leaves are very flourishing and you have a very green plant, your yields are high. No. See, even in case of rice also, okay, we call it what is called as the green grain stage. That means green grain stage means even when the panicles of paddy are going to emerge, if the panicles are still green, not turned completely brown, 25% of the yield increase is there. This is what they found out in hybrid rice. Hybrid rice is not a real hybrid. The Chinese scientists enhanced that longevity of paddy. See, normally in 120 days you get paddy. 20 days, the green grain stage is going to be enhanced. That means 20 days, the panicles are going to remain green. That will also add yield. It may not add the number of grains, but the grain weight will be very, very high. And that is how you get 25% additional yield. These are all small things in regenerative agriculture, which is going to enhance the synergy one-on-one. Okay, it is an integrated thing. When I say N into P into K, that is called as the interaction effect. Once an interaction effect is there, obviously better water absorption, better nutrient absorption, better response to yield, better quality yield, better fruits, better grains. So therefore, regenerative agriculture is the key. You should have all components put together. Even in the house, everybody will not eat only one rice and some sambar. So people have salads, people have some appetizers, people have starters. Of course, cooking all that by a single person may be very difficult. When you go to a hotel and order, you'll start from appetizer, you'll start from soup, you'll start from green salads. Like that, regenerative agriculture, is going to help people in the long run for the not only increasing yields but quality yield, and you get a better product in the market, which may even get a lot of premium prices. Definitely.
Okay. And what are the most practical regenerative practices that small and marginal farmers can adopt immediately?
See, marginal farmers, see, because his land holding is less, see, somewhere down the line, he has to collect these agriculture stubbles or, convert it into biochar, make some compost. For everything, land is alone not required. Okay, put all your kitchen waste, convert into fertilizers. Okay, and then, there are so many other things where he can enhance his organic carbon content. Even a marginal farmer can do it. In fact, marginal farmer and small farmer does it. Only a big farmer has to hire laborers. In case of marginal farmer, he is collecting the kitchen waste, he is collecting the poultry waste, he is collecting the cow dung. Okay, he subjects it to anaerobic fermentation, biogas slurry, I told you in my earlier sessions. See, any fertilizer or a compost, if you convert them through anaerobic fermentation, it's going to become a very good fertilizer. But aerobic fermentation will burn your crops. So therefore, we don't advocate, putting direct sewage in the plants or converting the latrines to the things. Even such experiments were done. Every fertilizer has to undergo this bioprocessing, anaerobic fermented products, and then that is how the fertilizers are going to be. If you go in the outskirts of Bangalore, this year, even the same BBMP waste and all that, they are getting processed and making some fertilizers out of it. Even that is called best from waste. Okay, many startups have come. Maybe my next lecture I'll cover what are the startups who are going to convert waste to wealth. Okay, in the next session we are going to discuss it. Thank you.
Okay. And how does regenerative improve water retention and drought resilience in farms?
Absolutely good question. See, depending on the range, for example, Cherrapunji is the highest rainfall in India, but if you see the soil, it is abysmal. That means it cannot conserve moisture. See, more organic content, especially compartment bunding, then plowing across the slope, many such dry farming practices, and putting more organic content, then, water harvesting structures, rainwater harvesting, all these are going in the line of water conservation and especially conservation in the field. If you have more compost, that is going to hold water. If you have more microorganisms, it is going to enhance the root rhizosphere activity. So what will you do if it's just like throwing a bucket of water on a cement platform and all the water goes away? You put a very tilled soil and it should hold water. For example, black soil holds more water for more number of days. Okay, whereas the leaching and the runoff is going to be very, very abysmal, especially when it comes to laterite soils, which is an acidic soil. So therefore, you should have a soil depth of minimum 8 feet and enrich it with organic materials, compost, and all the green manure crops, and plow across the field. So all these dry farming practices are going a long way in water conservation, and especially water harvesting structures on the lower part of the things. See, today even rainwater harvesting is being collected even in a flats, and then it is put into the soak pits where all our borewells are getting recharged. So everywhere the same methodology, even in the agriculture farms also, which farmers have to be aware. Okay, we tried one of these experiments when I was at Hyderabad. So it is called the community composting pits. See, why only individuals should have a compost pit? Why not the entire village waste be collected in one spot and then convert them into an organic compost, and then afterwards maybe redistribute it or sell it or whatever it is. Similarly, we are having water harvesting tokens. Once when rainwater is harvested on a huge tank, when it is equally distributed, these are called the water use associations, WUA. That means I can buy your part of water for my field. So everything is generated within a village, within a thing. So they are called as the community composting pits, an important concept in agriculture extension.
Okay. And What role do cover crops, mulching, and crop diversification play in farm regeneration?
Absolutely. This is the good question. See, today you see any farm. Have you seen a land which is just without any cover? They put either a green plastic mulch or they put a black plastic mulch, and then in between there are holes every 30 centimeter, depending on the spacing of the tomato or whatever crop. So a soil, if it is not covered with a mulch, need not be only plastic mulch or a green plastic mulch or a cover crop. What will happen is the soil gets exposed to sunlight, and then all the microflora, microorganisms may die. Okay, it will not enhance. So obviously there should be some amount of moisture, some life activity which is going on in the soil too. Therefore, a green cover. Since now after harvesting, what do you do? Now rice is harvested. Let us say direct seeded rice versus transplanted rice. You remove all the water. With the residual moisture, people grow green gram. Okay, they grow sun hemp. They grow dhincha. Some cover crop so that adds the organic matter. And in the coming season, you can simply plow it inside and then enhance the green manuring of the particular field. Not necessarily paddy field. Similarly, in case of horticulture gardens, in between mango, we are using what is called as this mucuna seeds. Mucuna is nothing but it's a dicotyledonous legume, okay, which grows very prolifically, fixes nitrogen. See, today we have a black mucuna and a white mucuna. So we advocated as an intercrop in between the mango fields to enhance the nutrition. So some cover will always be there. See, and once when some cover is there, it can also act as a trap crop. Some insect can eat it, no issues, but it will add nutrient to our soil. So this is very, very important. See how much of kitchen waste we collect. Are we recycling all the kitchen waste? Okay, even today BBMP enforces so strictly the wet waste, the dry waste. Okay, why they bifurcated? See, because BBMP cannot do the job in spite of you paying the property tax. Okay, everybody, they say that, there should be a a processor who is going to do this sewage processing or this waste segregation and waste bifurcation, so that ultimately it should be converted into a useful fertilizer and then regenerated and recycled in the soil. That is the whole mantra which is going in the Khet Bachao Andolan. See, without doing anything, okay, the farmers may ask, I'm not getting that much remunerative prices as the effort I put. See, everything is not just a software job. Okay, everything cannot be, judged by money alone. But the overall benefits to the farmer in the long run is going to be very, very high, especially when you use this cover crops, okay, and all this sort of Khet Bachao Andolan and balanced nutrition and all mukuna and all these plants. Yes, thank you, ma. Are we there? What happened? Dhanlakshmi madam? We are still there. Is the session over? Yes, madam. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, madam.
Are
Yeah.
you able to hear me, sir? Okay. Sorry, there was a.
Yes, madam. Yes, please. Are we still there? Dhanlakshmi madam? Yes, please. Any more questions?
Okay.
Some connection things.
Yeah.
Yes,
Next
madam.
question is, can regenerative agriculture reduce dependence on chemical fertilizers and pesticides without affecting yields?
You see, there are two schools of thought in what is this. See, regenerative agriculture, organic farming, natural farming. In fact, there was a very huge discussion. See what some of the, this people who propagate organic farming, just like vegan, vegetarian, non-vegetarian. See, regenerative agriculture is you put whatever you want, provided the microflora and fauna of the soil is not killed, provided, okay, the useful predators and parasites of the insect population is not killed. So it is something like you live, I live. It is not live and let die. There was an old James Bond movie in that name. So if you are able to make other ecosystem, the flora, the fauna also react, okay, then it is the regenerative agriculture to me. That means our entire ecosystem of the farm should be more climate sensitive rather than input sensitive. This is where the regenerative agriculture, preserving the predators, preserving the parasites, preserving the green cover, preserving the organic carbon, preserving the microflora fauna is a very, very important issue in case of regenerative agriculture and balanced nutrition apart from climate sensitivity, which is the crux of the Khet Bachao Andolan.
Okay. And how can farmers, how can farmers measure improvements in soil, organic carbon, and biodiversity on their farms?
You see, now, of course, we don't expect farmers to go with a microgeldal method, neutron meter to study moisture and all that. See, he can see over the years. Recently, I called some of the mango farmers to market their organic mangoes in our flats. See, people can, just judge it by taste. See, the organic mangoes and the inorganic mangoes, you just put them on the side. You just taste it, you will find the difference. A regenerated agriculture, a natural farming things, the quality will always be better. And farmers are getting it marketed. See, many of these things are sold no time. See, you go to a mango thing, you buy Alfonso. I am telling you, Alfonso is heavily affected by fruit fly. You will simply find out small, small spots. So a premium mango may be about 10 or 20 rupees more. So obviously a farmer will understand that by doing these sort of regenerative and Khet Bachao Andolan type of agriculture, his produce will be sold in no time. Okay, there will not be any problem for him. And the consumers also feel the quality consciousness. And that he will enhance it by getting repeat orders. And it's not very, very difficult to identify a very good natural farming and a farmer. People, go behind the farmers and they pick up the produce by hedging, okay, having a pre-harvest contract, and they buy away all the produce. And, if once when your produce is not so good, nobody buys it. It will be unsold. Take it from me. So therefore, farmers are also realizing this, and many farmers, especially these sort of regenerative farms, organic farms, natural farms, are in very, very high demand. That is the indicator to say that he is doing a very good agriculture, a regenerative one, especially with this Khet Bachao Andolan, okay, balanced nutrition, and he has used all these things. It's just an indicator.
Okay. And what successful examples of regenerative agriculture have been documented by ICAR?
Oh, plenty. See, for example, the organic mangoes from Koppal are in high demand, and especially our Srinivaspur Taluk, okay, which also claims a good thing. But the Srinivaspur mangoes have more pests and all that. Just by seeing the produce and the things, these success stories are documented, and especially where the FPOs are in command, the farmer producer organizations, many of the FPOs are branded and ranked as number 1, 2, 3, okay, and the way they use the inputs, their marketing is in no time. Marketing is an important indicator to tell that, okay, all these practices are very, very relevant. See, nobody is advocating these practices just for practicing it and giving a lecture. It has a practical implication in the sense regarding the market. See, for example, many of the herbal oils and the essential oils, They all come from these sort of farms. See, even today, protected agriculture, okay, especially protected cultivation. People use things like vanilla. They are growing even things like saffron in our protected cultivation, where environment is controlled, rather than growing it in Kashmir, and then with all the transportation, the cost is going to be high. So therefore, produce locally, market it globally is the mantra. So everywhere people are using all these things, and some innovators are making money out of it. So we don't want even the laggards or somebody to stay behind, but people are already ahead and doing it. See, only thing is you should have interest. It is like a student asking, okay, even if I study one day before I can get a very good marks, why should I study from the beginning? This question is an unanswered question, because the person who studies from day one may crack an entrance exam. You must have seen so many UPSC toppers. Simply just for going to the exam, you might not achieve. See, an innovation, a research, okay, we say an achievement does not simply come like that. Even in farming also, over the years, building all this organic carbon, and your farm is a certified one. It's an organic farm certified, natural farming certified. It has its own value. I think that is where the farmers should be convinced when we go to this campaign called as this Khet Bachao Abhiyan.
Okay. And last two questions. Based on your research experience, what are the biggest threats to farm sustainability in India, and how can regenerative agriculture address them?
See, the farm sustainability in India is, see, suppose I have a 2-acre farm. I have, let us say, some 4 bullocks or some 2-3 cows or buffaloes, whatever it is. I should be able to generate most of my inputs from my own farm. That is called as the crop livestock interaction. It can include kitchen waste, farm waste, collection of cow dung, okay, collection of green manure, green plants. Everything has to be planned. See, suppose I have a 90-day gap between Kharif crop and the Rabi crop. I will put one cover crop, sun hemp, daincha, or some cover crop, plow it again back into the soil. Everything requires planning. You see, some people, not only farmers, even other ones, they continuously plan their day-to-day activities. Some people are very blind. They don't plan. They simply get up and go away. So the entire Kharif, Rabi, summer, crops, livestock, waste, everything has to be planned. It has to be composted. So in how many of the farms have you seen a composting pit? In how many of the farms you have seen a silo pit? In how many of the farms you have seen cover crops? In how many of the farms you have seen a rainwater harvesting uh, pond or something? No, it's not there, because all these things not only require labor, but they require monitoring, they require planning. And how many of them know that this time when the El Nino is going to come, till what time should they wait for sowing of cotton or paddy or whatever? See, this time I'm sure till August 10th, okay, the rains can be delayed. Okay, I am not sure whether the Kharif rains will come before June 15th or something, and then you'll have a normal Kharif. The El Nino prediction this time, our NICRA project, recently I told you this meeting we had in Guntur, okay, this time farmer have to wait till August 10th, then go for horse gram as an alternate if it is a paddy field. See, for example, cotton crop. I was working in Telangana, that contingency plan. Okay, cotton seeds are dibbled. See, every time when drought is there, the cotton plants, they don't germinate, they don't emerge. So farmer has purchased double the quantity of seed. He sees that the plant population is never minimal. All the plant population should be there. He continuously dibbles. So a farmer is a very good contingency planner. It is something like our software statement, if else. Okay, my father used to say one statement, try, and try. If you don't succeed, try something else. So that is called as contingency planning. Farmers are not doing this. They depend on only one crop. They don't maintain the plant population. If it fails, simply they go here and there. So a farmer, especially the small farmer, is a very, very alert farmer. He should see his plant population, he should see his farm, and all these regular inputs which can be conserved, tilled, protected, developed, and applied. Very, very important. Every day you should be on this. It is not that, Yuddha Kale Shastra Abhyasa, exam comes, study something, write something, and go away. Life cannot be done. An entrepreneur is not developed in a single day. A successful person in life is not developed in 1 hour. He is developed over generations. Especially, I told you about the Padashekarams in Kerala. Especially, many of the paddy fields are below the sea level. So, they do not want the saltish sea water to enter the freshwater paddy. So they have built a bund around that which is called Padashekaram, and that is the FAO World Heritage Center. How did the Keralites conserve their freshwater paddy and see that the salt water does not enter their paddy? Absolutely brilliant. So there are so many farmers innovation. I can go on and on like this, but I sincerely thank agriinformation.com to deliberate this very important topic. Ultimately, awareness campaign, okay, and then being sensitive to contingent agriculture, contingency planning. Okay, what will you do if you lose your leg? You have to put an artificial foot. What will you do if your bank balances go down? You have to do some other investment. Okay, so everything has got an alternate which you should be ready. Okay, so even everybody should have a contingency plan, and more so agriculture, because there's a full-fledged project where the headquarters is at Krida. Okay, many of my colleagues work on this national initiative or climate resilient agriculture, contingent agriculture. They do the job daily. This time they have predicted for every taluk how many days the rains will be delayed, when the rain will appear. For the entire country, 348,000 villages. Okay, if you contact one Dr. Y.V. Rao at Krida, he will tell you till when you should be ready for sowing. So such an alternate plans are already available with ICR, with agriculture universities, and only it is our duty to take this knowledge to the farmers and build awareness. Thank you very much.
Okay. One last question. What policy support, training, and incentives are needed to scale up regenerative agriculture across India?
Yes, madam. Somebody telephone.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Okay. What policy support, training, or incentives are needed to scale up regenerative agriculture across India?
Yeah. See, already this Khet Bachao Andolan, Vikasit Krishi Abhiyan, Paramparagat Krishi, which promotes organic farming, many such programs are already there with our Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India. And then people, even scientists, extension workers, farmers, NGOs, FPOs, they are already going on a war footing. See, today nobody is unaware of all these things. It is not like the Green Revolution days, okay, simply put some crop and get high yielding variety yield. Today it is all the Jamana of sustainable agriculture, evergreen revolution, not just green revolution. Today we talk about evergreen revolution because everybody has to eat food daily and they have to earn income daily. But agriculture is only the seasonal one. See, whether if your salaries and my salaries are stopped, where do we go? But farmer, it is not like that. It is highly seasonal. It is a climate-oriented agriculture, risk-oriented agriculture. But even he can plan for a sustainable evergreen revolution and do this. Already many government initiatives are already in the offing. And then we have got the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana already with a very less premium. Then there is this weather insurance. Nowadays, you don't call the crop insurance. If the rainfall fails, especially with the AWS, automatic weather stations, people will declare that particular taluk or a village as a drought village. They will give you a compensation immediately. So all such measures, already the government support is already there. Extension workers are doing the job. ICR, agriculture universities are already in this contingency planning. And day in and day out, this is their job. See, more than simply preaching, it is more of practicing. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, sir. So it was very good to.
Yeah, thank you very much. Agriinformation.com. And in fact, you have been enriching my experience and sharing of the content. We'll hear more from you in the coming days. Thank you very much. I sincerely thank you. Shall I leave the meeting?
Yes,
Shall I leave the meeting?
You can leave, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.